Welcome to the Electorate. I am your host, Ian West. On today's episode, MAGA has found itself embroiled in a civil war between the base and their tech billionaire overlord, Elon Musk, stemming from a Christmas conversation about H-1B visas. So let's dive into that. So, over the holiday, we had a raging debate on social media, particularly on X/Twitter, between MAGA's base and Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy. Okay, so this started earlier in the week when Loomer, she criticized Trump's selection of Sriram Krishnan as an advisor on artificial intelligence policy. And he favors the ability to bring more skilled immigrants into the United States, specifically the H-1B visa. Loomer chimed back and declared this not an America First policy. It involves hiring non-Americans for high profile roles in tech industry. These are people who are extremely talented, well educated, and very good at what they do. So H-1B visas are geared towards professionals with a theoretical and practical application of a body of highly specialized knowledge. Now, a lot of these positions are like app software developers, computer systems engineers, a lot of computer systems analysts, and so very tech focused positions. And you can see why, these companies like or these billionaires like Vivek and Elon and all these others are very pro this program, because it brings in the best and the brightest from all over the world to help them. And of course, MAGA's question is, okay, well, why can't you just hire Americans? The whole reason we elected Donald Trump is to be America first, and you're going out now and saying that this is not an America First policy. You're specifically, this policy hires a lot of individuals from India, and there are other countries, and I'll show the breakdown a little bit later. But it's an overwhelming lean towards hiring from India. They have a wealth or a surplus of these very gifted and talented individuals. And, obviously the dumbass response from the MAGA base is basically, well, if they're so great, then, why is India so shitty, and all that bullshit, all the racist shit that they say all the time. But then the conversation started to get a little more involved and a little more detailed. And the question is, well, why don't you just hire Americans? And Elon Musk basically chimes back, and Vivek did as well, saying, well, there's a shortage of these talented workers in America. We don't have enough of them. That's why we have to get the best and brightest from elsewhere. And then people would come back and be like, well, why don't you educate Americans to be able to do these jobs? Why don't you offer them, provide them the ability to have the same education that you're hiring these people from India for? And Elon's response to that was basically, well, if you're worried about education right now, then you've already lost. So, this is the party. MAGA is the party that has told you, don't go to college. It's a scam. Don't do, just get trade degrees or take on all this. And now they're sort of starting to not understand why. Why shouldn't we have done this? Now you're saying that because we didn't do exactly what you told us that we shouldn't do, that now you're going to get foreign workers to come do the jobs that we could have gotten. So, these H-1B visas are, like I said, this is for professionals with a theoretical and practical application of a body of highly specialized knowledge. Okay, and an overwhelming percentage of these positions go into the tech field. So something like 69 or 70%. So top occupations granted H-1B visas are app software developers at 29.5%, computer systems engineers and architects at 11.4%, system software developers at 8.5%, computer systems analysts 7.2%, electronics engineers at 6.5%, and then there's a few others that kind of trickle down in the 2% range, and those are also in tech positions, and it totals roughly like 68.5 or 69% of these H-1B visas go into these professions. Top countries of origin: India, 278,491 individuals in the United States come from India with H-1B visas. The next closest country is China with just over 50,000. And then from there, third is Canada with 4,000. So you can see this massive discrepancy on the origin of where these workers are coming from. The top destinations that they end up in the United States is, as you would expect, California leading the way with 30.7%. Obviously, that's where Silicon Valley is. A lot of tech jobs are there. Next is Texas at 9.4%. Then third is New York at 6.8%. And it makes sense, but the top companies that hire these individuals in terms of number of hires are Google and Amazon. So obviously, these big tech companies are taking advantage of this program. The idea being that you can't pay them you can't pay them less than you would pay an American for a comparable position. What they say is you've got to pay them at least the prevailing wage for that job in that geographical region. So the U.S. caps the number of H-1B visas at 65,000 new visas each year, although an additional 20,000 can be granted for those with a master's degree or higher. Like I said, like 7 in 10 of each year's recipients come from India. Donald Trump apparently told some reporters that he also backs H-1B visas, saying that he's got some people who work on his property in Mar-a-Lago who are recipients of H-1B visas. I have no idea how many of them, one or two. I have no idea what they would be doing there, but he says he has them and he backs Elon Musk. This caused quite a bit of a rift in the party, and Laura Loomer and Elon Musk and Vivek got into it pretty heavily over the course of the next couple days following, Elon's initial foray into this argument. So much so that Laura Loomer ultimately ended up getting suspended briefly. She got her verification on X removed. She's not allowed to sign up for it again, or I haven't checked today, but maybe that's been restored. I'm not sure. Ian Miles Chong, guy's never even been to America, started chiming in on this as well and arguing with Laura Loomer. And it's pretty obvious, I think, to anybody with any sense that Elon Musk, he's in it for himself. Okay, first and foremost, the only reason he's backing Trump is not because he thinks Trump's this big fun guy and he's interested in politics now. It's because he thought he could get something out of Trump. He bought his way, not just with campaign money, but he bought his way into the Trump administration so that he could sort of drive the bus with issues that he thinks are important, and that he would have final say on stuff like this. If Elon Musk was not involved, would Trump be pro H-1B visa? Absolutely not. I firmly believe he would do away with this program, and he would or revise it or do something with it and reduce it. And he would say, look, there's enough talented people in America. That's his whole shtick, is Americans, bring everything back to America. And because he's not doing that, it is obvious that this is Elon Musk sort of driving the bus. Matt Gaetz chimed in on it as well, saying the same thing. He was critical of quote unquote tech bros. He was critical of them kind of appearing to take over the party. And he was critical of the H-1B visa stance that Trump and Elon Musk had. There was a lot of back and forth. I think at one point, Elon Musk went so hard into it, he literally said, take a big step back and fuck yourself in the face. I will go to war on this issue, the likes of which you cannot possibly comprehend. So a lot of MAGA, when this argument was going on, was like, oh, well, this is democracy. Democrats didn't even have a primary. We flesh things out on the internet and we talk about them. And getting to arguments on Twitter with people pulling the strings or people that are the ones who are going to be making this decision. That's not how it's done. That's not how any of this is done. And then the guy who's such a big proponent of this words are fuck yourself in the face to anybody who disagrees with him. It's just, it is so fucking bizarre, and you can sort of, at least in my opinion, and maybe this will be, maybe they will be able to continue doing this just so long as, Trump's not getting elected again, right? He's not running again. He's just gonna do what he wants, and if that means letting Elon Musk do what he wants, I've got to believe that Donald Trump's probably going to let that happen. But there's going to be some fractures that are created. So over the next 4 years, everybody who has to remain politically expedient because their career depends on it, so like J.D. Vance or anybody else in the administration who, once Trump is gone, they've got to keep going. Those are the people that are going to be vulnerable to the harm that this is going to cause the Republican Party going forward. And we've already had this conversation about what happens with the MAGA movement once Trump is gone. Can anybody be the talisman for this, for MAGA going forward after Donald Trump is no longer able to be president of the United States? And that's a big question. Is it J.D. Vance? I would guess gut feeling says, yeah, probably is J.D. Vance. But, what is that going to mean over the next several years when you've got Elon Musk and all these people buying their way, all these billionaires buying their way into this administration to have leverage, to have pull? Is it sustainable, or will this cause fractures? Will this cause the Republican Party to start to split? You're talking the base, who is he won with a populist message. Donald Trump won with a populist message. The reason Democrats lost, well, for a lot of reasons, but one of the main reasons was they no longer had the populist message. They did not speak to the working class. But if Republicans can't maintain that, it's almost like Democrats can just, do everything that they said they were going to do after the loss in this last election, become more populist, get a better media ecosystem. It's almost like they don't even have to nail it perfectly if this continues to go on. Now, obviously, as Democrats, you still want to improve your party, improve your ecosystem, get the populist message out there, do stuff for the Americans. But at the same time, we need to show them, hey, we've told you all along that Donald Trump and the MAGA movement is the party of the billionaires and the elites, and not the working class. They conned you into believing the other way, and you can see it now. Elon Musk is just pulling the strings behind the scenes, and this one's out in the public now, and he's made it clear this is just because he thinks it's best for him. He does not give a fuck about American workers. He does not care about anything other than his own self-interest. And we need to show that to voters. When it comes time in 6 months, when we start running ads and we start campaigning for the midterms, we've got to show this time and time again. We've got to make it clear, hey, and we don't put it in a way that says, hey, I told you so. It's more of a reminder, hey, Donald Trump said he was for you, but he's not. He's for them. And that's sort of a flip of the script on the the anti-trans, anti-immigrant ads that ran in the presidential campaign between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. Let's flip that, right? He's not for you, the American workers. He's for them. The donors, the billionaires, the elites, the tech bros. He does not care or understand what you want or what you need. He is for whoever will line his pockets and whoever will make his life easier and give him what he wants. So this MAGA civil war that has already started before Donald Trump has even been inaugurated is a sign of things to come. This will not be the last time this pops up, okay? People are going to be frustrated, and look, I think immigrants are great. I think highly skilled, qualified immigrants in the United States are great. I believe in the H-1B visa system. I think it brings the best and brightest from overseas to fill gaps that the U.S. can't currently fill. Do I wish that it weren't that way? Yeah, of course. But there's always going to be room for immigrants in the United States. And most of the people on the other side of the issue, most of the people who are against Elon Musk and Vivek on this are that way solely because they're racist, because these are not white people they're bringing in. They're Chinese people and they're Indians, predominantly Indians. So it's a significant racial bias that leads these people to be against this particular piece of immigration policy. It's not really about immigrants or anybody coming in. You flip that and you say, okay, Canadians are at the top and Indians are at the bottom. It would still be an issue, but it wouldn't be as significant of an issue as it was right now. But at the same time, this calls into question another issue that has come up. And we know this, Elon Musk likes to pretend that he bought Twitter to create a beacon of free speech. And of course, it's not that. People are silenced. A lot of posts get nerfed and people don't see them, shadow bans. He started banning a bunch of accounts that disagreed with him or were posting parody content. He had a tough time with the amount of criticism that he received during this back and forth with Laura Loomer and some others. But this calls into question this free speech absolutist that Elon Musk claims to be. What is this? Just because somebody agrees with you or disagrees with you doesn't mean you get to take away their ability to reach the audience that they've built over all this time. You can't call yourself a free speech absolutist if you then silence the people who disagree with you. And obviously free speech, as a right, as an American right, that's free speech from the government. Okay. If you're a private company or if you're a company, do I believe that you have a right to say whatever you want, or can they set ground rules? Can they do things? It is what it is. It gets into a messy situation when you talk about Twitter, the reach that it has, which sides you're favoring, all that good stuff. But, when it comes to free speech from Elon Musk's perspective, what he said he bought Twitter to do, what he says that it is now as X, it's just not that, man. You can't silence these people that you disagree with or who call you out on something that they don't agree with when you're not fucking president of the United States. Behind the scenes, I guess maybe you are. Maybe you feel like you are, and maybe in reality you are. But this does not give you the right to. This does not give you the right to make these decisions. So. There's a lot of things going on right now, and Donald Trump is not even president yet. He has not even been inaugurated yet. So I think the cracks are going to continue because there are too many cooks in the kitchen. All of them want something. They're not there for Americans. They're not there to make the country better. They're there to make themselves better. They're there to improve their own self-interests. So it's important that we call this out as Democrats. It's important that we continue to do the things that we said we were going to do, the lessons that we were going to learn from this election, and continue showing Americans that, hey, you're right. We did not do a good enough job being the party for the American people. We did not do a good enough job of being the populist big tent party. But now we are, and we're showing you why, despite what Republicans told you, they were never that way either. They were never for you either. We were always the better party. We just didn't do it right, and we failed. Now we have corrected it. Now we are better. So this is the last episode of the Electorate for 2024. We are heading into 2025 tomorrow by the time this episode posts. So we will see you on the other side in 2025, and have a happy new year, everyone. And hopefully big things come for everyone. See you later.